shines through you when you leave me room.
Sagittarius, control of speech, control of thought, leading to truth. Hello everyone, welcome to this month's virtue practice. Now this virtue, or this direction of virtue, connects us to something that is very sought after on the inner path, because it connects us to peace and silence, and how incredibly potent peace and silence is as a way of really regaining a orientation to our whole inner life, to something that is far beyond the agitation of our everyday. And we can contribute to this through the control of speech, which is our outer shifting of the silence, and the control of thought, which in a certain way is an inner shifting of the silence. So our outer voice and the inner voice is stilled in a peacefulness or in the silence. And it's not an easy practice, because how do you just will a silent space? But we can be aware of that say when we look, for instance, upon something in nature, a flower, we might have a myriad of associative thoughts and this actual constant sort of activity of voice or pictures that are, our impressions or associative impressions, rather than just be in the stillness or in the peace or in the silence of the presence of the other thing. And to do that requires a certain activity of our will into our thought, to just stop and be present with what we're perceiving. And at the same time, we also have this sort of tendency to respond to the world, to say things, to add our part, to react with words. And that speech is our, in a way, response through the unconscious will or the uncontrolled will of our speaking, that enters in to disturb, in a way, potentially disturb, the silence or the peacefulness of the space. So in order for us to really be present, we're working with those two processes, controlling our own wanting to say what we perceive the other to be, usually as a reaction, but also the inner voice. So the outer voice and the inner voice, our own personal responses to things, are silenced. And they're silenced through this control. Now, control is always a difficult word in our age, but it's not a control that we impose upon ourselves with a hardened domination, but rather our ability to surrender the tendencies, which are impulses, to the personal words. And in it, it's through the silence, actually, that we might touch this sort of potential of coming close to this cosmic word. But that's difficult if we're always filled with the inner voice and the outer voice, the outer speech or the inner speech that's bringing this personal reality to bear upon the other, and in a way to bear upon ourselves. So silence is something that is a profound capacity or result of being able to practice this virtue. And so we could recognize many ways of which we might be able to silence our inner voice, all our opinions, our judgments, our assessments of what is taking place, and silence our outer voice, needing to say something, to add something, to always, in a way, fill the time, or even perhaps kill the time. Speech is often used to fill the space or kill the time rather than to sculpt or bring something that is what the space, the time, the experience is asking for. So I'm sure through just contemplating an idea of what control of speech and control of thought are building within, because it's hard to practice a virtue of silence. You could, for instance, take a vow of silence, but to practice a virtue of silence, it's not really silence as the virtue, but the ability to take hold of that habit of thought or habit of speech that then makes room, gives room for this peace to be within. And it is an extraordinary experience to be totally present in your I being, to be awake to that eternal I awareness, and to experience the silence and the stillness, the peace. Silence, therefore, is not something that's just to do with the inner space, but also what we offer the outer space. The inner voice or inner words and the outer voice or the outer words. And if we can find a capacity to control this consistent speaking, we will find a way of giving room to the silence, to the stillness. So then I'm sure you can find a practice in your in this month around controlling speech, controlling thought, but recognizing why. Because it's in the silence, in the stillness, that we might experience this truth that is really coming from beyond our personal. And again, once we've done the practice, we would follow the will activity from the top of the head, down the face, into the chest and into the heart. So this silence and this peace is also very important for the preparations that are connected to the Christmas festival or the Christmas mystery. In the Christmas mystery, we hear of this silence. We hear of this peace. We hear of the silence of the holy nights and the peace that arises from those of goodwill. And it is connected to this very virtue practice that's over this time. And so we are beginning to build a relationship to this inner space, this inner silence, this inner peace that can then receive the gifts, receive the light, receive what is given from the spiritual world at this extraordinary holy time of the Christmas mystery. Now, we've put a link below for those of you that wish to join us, and it's open for everybody. Thank you.
Becoming achieves the power to be. Into what is, the might of becoming dies. Achievement resolves the desire to strive into prevailing will force of life. In dying, there ripens prevailing of worlds. Forms disappear within forms. What has come to be, may it feel what is. Let the words resound within you with their echo. And imagine a streaming light from above the head down to the top of the head and into the heart.
Sagittarius. Hello and welcome to this month's zodiac gesture of Sagittarius, and the formative force that comes towards the human being for Sagittarius is the thigh. And as you just saw with my gesture then, it sort of belongs to the upper part of the arm as well. So again, we're in the night colours, and these colours are difficult for us to find, as I've spoken about before. They are very delicate, very subtle, but it's almost as if really on this side of the world, or this side of on the earth, to see these spiritual colours, it will be very different. So when we step through to the spiritual world, there'll be a hue along the lines of these colours, but it won't be exactly these colours. So we need to remain open to what those colours will be that we will see in the spiritual world. But this is something similar in this. I would call this a pink lilac or a red lilac. Last month we had the blue lilac in the Scorpio. So with this part of the body, the thigh, we take a step and really go into our knees. Knees on the right side, right knee, and the left as well. So we settle into those. So I'm not leaning forward. I'm actually sitting a little bit like sitting in a saddle in a way. So you probably know that Sagittarius is the archer, and it's often depicted as half horse and half human being. So here we are with this almost sitting but with the knees bent a little bit. The right elbow comes up, the left hand goes over the elbow, because we're saying it's not the elbow, it's this part and the thighs as well that we're actually feeling. And the right hand is tucked in near my heart, because when we're doing Eurythmy, we always have this wonderful connection to our heart. So it's tucked in there. So we try and do this all in one gesture. So we have the slightly moving the left leg back, the right one comes forward, and the arm in this gesture. And it is the resolve. So we take aim, and it's not about trying to find or resolve something or something that I want personally for myself, but it really is about the truth. So the virtue is control of speech, control of thought. And when we can work with those, we may come to this truth. And truth always has beauty and goodness within it as well. All three are together, truth, beauty and goodness. So I like to think of those two in there as well when I'm looking for the truth. So finding this aim and placing my gesture and really taking aim at what I'm working at this month, which is control of speech, control of thought, leading towards the truth. So let's practice it a few times. If you're able to turn your screen away so that you can practice this gesture before we move into our whole practice with the ERO. So let's see if we can do this in one go. So it's the right knee, it's the right elbow, the left one covering, with the right one tucked in towards our heart. And let's try this together. So I'd just like to say a little bit more about the virtues, just an experience that happened to me last night. So very new to me. Well, experience not so new to me, I suppose, but what took place really showed me how much the virtues are helping me and how much in my practice they can continue to help me. And if we think that we are heading towards this end of the year, towards Christmas, we have Advent, and often things arise that can be quite challenging, either physically, mentally. In many ways, things arise that sometimes out of our control, or sometimes we don't think before we speak, or we have the thoughts going on and on in our head. So this controlling our thoughts, controlling our speech, controlling our thoughts will be very, very helpful. But also last month's one of patience. So if I just tell you a little bit, last night I received an email which is a little bit, well, quite challenging, something that I've been working with for quite some time, and it really did stir me up, and I felt quite agitated. There was nothing that I could actually do, but inside and in my head, I felt really disturbed and unable to know what to do with that or how to resolve it. So I wanted to read, but reading wasn't going to help either. So I knew that today I was going to be working with Sagittarius, so I was already working with this control of speech, control of thought, but I wasn't able to control my thought. So I decided that I needed to now go back to Scorpio and listen again to what Lisa spoke about, patience, because I felt that patience was the one that I was needing in this sort of crisis moment that had come. So I put the recording on again, and of course you hear Jen singing first, which is wonderful to start with, and then Lisa starts speaking. And in this one of patience, you may remember from Scorpio that she spoke about patience as in not so much the everyday patience, but patience for something that may not unfold today, tomorrow, next year, 20 years' time, in our lifetime. Maybe next time we come back, maybe not. So to really have the patience in a way to endure that. So that was wonderful for me, and then it led me, of course, so patience, back to patience. It then took me to the next, which is what we're in now, Sagittarius, and brought me to control my speech and control my thoughts. Now, not that my speech was out of control there because I had nobody to speak to about it, but the thoughts definitely were. But I could see then how they all flow on to the next one and the next one. And as Lisa talked about this vortex in Scorpio, that yes, we will move on to the next one, and then what will come to us next in Capricorn will be courage, and that will see us into Christmas. So I just wanted to give you a little way of really working with these wonderful virtues that have really helped to carry me in so many areas, so many areas of my life. And yes, I'm very grateful to all that comes from them. So let's go to our practice of the ERO first, 3 times, and then 3 times for our Sagittarius. And then if we can do this streaming, which comes from the 6th subsidiary, to really stream in these health-giving forces and into our heart. Sagittarius. Let this cosmic stream come towards you through the crown chakra and down towards your heart. And there in this mystery center, to contemplate control of speech, control of thought.
I am the one who shines through you when you